Welcome to Musings of a Cigarette Smoking Man. I'm Stephen Leake. Tonight we're going to look into the restaurant industry, a topic I have a lot of personal experience with. My restaurant work in Charleston, South Carolina, and all around the Carolinas in general, it was the basis for my novel, Gethsemane, that I'm still working on and editing as we speak. Thanks for joining me tonight. I've got a good show for you today. So follow me for freedom and buckle up. The romantic image of a writer hunched over a typewriter in a smoky room is not necessarily far from the truth in my case. I stayed up all night, a lot of nights, once I got home from a long shift at 1 in the morning from Fuel or Basil or Leaf, the restaurants I worked at in Charleston. It was a fun life and really only for the young, but it was an experience and one I want to share with everybody. We can't all go on adventures with the wild hair up our asses. A lot of us have families and jobs and shit, so I do it for people, and I'll let you read about it in my life because I'm in a unique position. I was on disability or am on disability and get $1,000 a month to sustain myself, and it's given me a certain level of freedom to pursue my dreams. And a lot of friends and people I've talked to just say they wish they had the balls or whatever to do what I do, and it doesn't take any special talent or resources or circumstances to be poor and go after your dreams and have balls. But having disability was a stroke of fate, I think, and making the best of a terrible, shitty situation. I use my art and my ventures and my businesses to fund my further adventures. So I go on, I travel, work in restaurants, and then live like a monk for a couple years, save up money from working and go on adventures. And then after a couple years, I come home to my family's farm in York, South Carolina, to my apartment on my family land, and crank out work and produce something from my time out among the world. And it's a business model of sorts, and it's served me well. I couldn't do it without my best friend Robert McFarland. He has prior service in the Peace Corps in Africa. Is an all-around awesome guy. He's helped me with my ventures. Is going to be my bass player. He dated my sister from junior high through college, and was in my life in that capacity for many years, and I consider him a little brother. His older brother, Randy, is going to come on my podcast as one of my first guests to talk about Mossad, Israel, and AIPAC, and how this country is run by the Israeli lobby. That's going to be maybe in a couple weeks. And so keep your eyes peeled for that. Tonight, we're delving headfirst into the deep fryer of the restaurant industry. It is a world I know intimately, a world that shaped me, scarred me, and ultimately inspired Gethsemane, the novel I'm wrestling into shape even as we speak. Forget the sanitized images of celebrity chefs and Michelin stars. We're talking about the trenches, the late nights, the relentless pressure, and the strange camaraderie forged in the fires of a busy kitchen. It's a place where dreams are both realized and crushed, often in the same night. The restaurant world is a democratic world in few industries are, a haven for immigrants, the young, and those seeking a fresh start. But is it a fair deal? A sustainable existence? A net positive for the soul? These are the questions that keep me up at night, questions that fueled both my life and my writing. And of course, we'll have to pause for a few necessary evils, commercials. But hey, even a cigarette-smoking man has to pay the bills. Consider them brief respites from the existential dread, or perhaps interesting diversions in their own right. So grab a drink, spark one up if you're so inclined, and join me. Is the restaurant industry a melting pot of opportunity or a pressure cooker of exploitation? Let's find out, shall we? But before we truly delve into the abyss, let's paint a picture, not of pristine dining rooms and perfectly plated dishes, but of the raw, unfiltered reality. Close your eyes, if you will, and imagine the symphony of a bustling kitchen, the sizzle of fat hitting a scorching pan, the rhythmic chop, chop, chop of knives against the cutting boards, the insistent clang of pots and pans, the shouted orders and hurried footsteps, the ticket machine rattling off orders that makes nightmares and the stuff of legend for industry pros and newbies alike. A cacophony that somehow coalesces into a strange, almost hypnotic rhythm. Now, breathe in. Can you smell it? The intoxicating aroma of spices mingling with roasted meats, the sharp tang of citrus, the earthy scent of fresh produce, the ever-present undercurrent of stale beer and bleach. It's a heady, intoxicating mix, a scent that clings to your clothes, your hair, your very being, long after you've left the building. Open your eyes. What do you see? A frantic dance of cooks, each moving with purpose and precision, the focused intensity on their faces, the sweat glistening to their brows, the expectant faces of diners, eagerly awaiting their culinary creations, the hurried movements of servers, weaving through the crowded tables, balancing trays laden with food and drink. Our journey will take us to various meccas for food and beverage, those culinary destinations where the art of gastronomy is elevated to new heights. Places like Charleston, South Carolina, a city steeped in history and flavor, where the traditions of the South mingle with modern culinary innovation. But we won't just be admiring the scenery, we'll be getting our hands dirty, exploring the underbelly, uncovering the stories that lie beneath the surface. These places inspired Gethsemane, and it is to them we owe this dark, gritty, honest view. Forget the glossy magazines and the carefully curated Instagram feeds. What I'm offering you is the unvarnished, unabashed truth, the perspective of someone who's been in the trenches, who's seen the best and worst of the restaurant world. So brace yourself, because it's going to be a wild ride. The democratic kitchen, a melting pot of humanity. The restaurant, in its own way, is a grand experiment, a chaotic, often messy, but undeniably democratic space. Think about it. Where else can you find such a diverse collection of individuals thrown together, united by a common goal of feeding the masses? The restaurant industry serves as a great leveler. The democratic kitchen welcomes individuals who find themselves on diverse paths, be it those seeking a new start or an alternative career path. Newcomers to the American experiment often find their first foothold in the restaurant industry. Immigrants stepping off the plane, clutching their hopes and dreams, find solace and opportunity within the bustling kitchens and crowded dining rooms. A willingness to work hard, a strong back, and a quick smile are often the only qualifications needed. In this way, the restaurant industry and the restaurant, more than just a place to earn a paycheck, it's a gateway to a new life. For immigrants, as well as the young, fresh out of school, unsure of their place in the world, the restaurant becomes a training ground, a crash course in responsibility, teamwork, and the harsh realities of the working world. They learn to deal with demanding customers, navigate complex social dynamics, and manage the relentless pressure of a busy service. The kitchen becomes a laboratory, a place where they experiment with their skills, discover their passions, and forge lasting friendships. And what about those seeking a second chance? Individuals who have stumbled, made mistakes, and found themselves on the fringes of society. The restaurant often provides a lifeline, a place where they can earn a living, an honest living, prove their worth, and rebuild their lives. A restaurant doesn't always ask too many questions. A willingness to work hard and show up on time speaks volumes. The restaurant becomes a sanctuary, a place where they can find redemption and reclaim their dignity. From bustling, greasy spoon diners to high-end, Michelin-aspirant kitchens, the democratic nature of the restaurant industry manifests in countless ways. In the dimly lit diner, grizzled veterans and fresh-faced youngsters share the same cramped workspace, united by the common goal of serving up hearty breakfasts and greasy burgers. In the gleaming, state-of-the-art kitchen of a five-star restaurant, a team of highly skilled chefs hailing from different corners of the world collaborate to create culinary masterpieces. Each establishment offers its unique blend of chaos, camaraderie, and opportunity. Amidst the pressure and the chaos, a unique sense of camaraderie often develops within kitchen crews. The shared experience of surviving the dinner rush, enduring the chef's wrath, and celebrating small victories in a drink forges a bond that transcends age, background, and social status. The kitchen becomes a found family, a surrogate support system that provides comfort, encouragement, and a sense of belonging. This melting pot environment not only fosters innovation in food, but also creates a complex tapestry of social dynamics, rife with both conflict and creation and connection. But is this democracy always fair? Does the restaurant industry truly offer equal opportunity for all? Or are there unwritten rules and hidden hierarchies that perpetuate inequality? While the industry may be open to all, success is not guaranteed. Factors such as race, gender, and social class can still influence one's opinions and opportunities of advancement. The restaurant world, like society itself, is not immune to prejudice and discrimination. It is a democracy with its own set of imperfections, a melting pot with its own share of tensions. The craft and the calling, more than just a paycheck. Some people work in restaurants because it's the only choice they have. But for some, restaurant work transcends the mere necessity of earning a living. It's a true craft, a calling that resonates deep within their souls. As we've touched upon, it's a meritocracy where dedication and skill are rewarded. It's about mastering the art of flavor, presentation, and hospitality. But let's delve deeper into what that truly entails. Consider the artistry of a pastry chef. It's not simply about following recipes. It's about understanding the delicate balance of ingredients, the science of baking, and the aesthetic appeal of a perfectly crafted dessert. It's about transforming simple components like flour, sugar, and butter into edible works of art that evoke emotions and create lasting memories. Then there's the precision of a butcher, more than just cutting meat. It's about understanding animal anatomy, different cuts, and the proper techniques for maximizing flavor and tenderness. A skilled butcher can transform a primal cut into a masterpiece, preparing it for the chef's culinary vision. The intuitive palate of a saucier is another example. They possess an innate ability to taste, analyze, and create complex sauces that complement and enhance the flavors of a dish. It's the blend of science and art, requiring a deeper understanding of flavor profiles and cooking techniques than most people are willing to invest in. A great saucier can elevate a simple dish to something extraordinary. And let's not forget the encyclopedic knowledge of a sommelier. They are more than just wine stewards. They are educators, curators, and storytellers. They possess a deep understanding of wine regions, grape varietals, vintages, and food pairings. A skilled sommelier can guide diners on a culinary journey, enhancing their dining experience with the perfect wine selection and make for a very pleasant evening. These aren't just jobs, they're skills honed over years of dedication, practice, and relentless pursuit of perfection. They are crafts passed down through generations, refined and adapted to modern techniques. Let me tell you about a fictional character I've been working on for Gethsemane. His name is Miguel. He started as a dishwasher, barely speaking English, just trying to make ends meet. But he had an eye for detail, a hunger to learn. He watched the chefs and asked questions and volunteered for any task, no matter how menial. He soaked up knowledge like a sponge. He started helping with prep work. Then he moved to the salad station. Then the grill. He made mistakes, of course, but he learned from them. He worked harder than anyone else, driven by an insatiable desire to improve, and slowly but surely he rose through the ranks. Eventually he became the head chef, transforming the menu with his unique blend of traditional flavors and modern techniques. He even bought the restaurant from the previous owner. This character will show the heights that can be reached with hard work. What drives this passion? Is it the love of food, artistic expression, the thrill of service? Perhaps it's a combination of all these things. But for those who treat restaurant work as a craft, it's something deeper. It's a sense of purpose, a feeling of accomplishment, a desire to create something beautiful and meaningful. It's about more than just a paycheck. It's about leaving a mark on the world, one dish, one dining experience at a time. Tools of the trade and thought. Every craft has its tools. For the chef, precision is paramount. For the thinker, a reliable instrument to capture fleeting thoughts. Are you serious about cooking? Then you need serious knives, shun knives, crafted in Japan with the heritage of samurai sword making. Shun knives offer unparalleled precision and performance. It's what I use when I cook, and what I used in Charleston. They use harder steel, so you only need to hone about once a week, depending on use. The Shun combination honing steel even has a built-in 16-degree angle guide on the handle, making it easy to maintain that razor edge. From their premier series with its hand-hammered finish that helps release food easily, to the classic line, the workhorse of professional kitchens, there's a Shun knife for every task. And to protect your investment, their Japanese cypress knife blocks not only look beautiful, but also help preserve your blade's sharpness. For culinary artists and passionate home cooks alike, Shun is more than a knife, it's an extension of your skill. Visit shun.kiausa.com and experience the difference. Free standard shipping on orders of $50 or more. Skillcraft U.S. government pens. In a world of disposable everything, some things are built to last. Skillcraft U.S. government pens. The pen that has served generations. Reliable, durable, and proudly made in America. But there's more to Skillcraft than just a great pen. Skillcraft products are manufactured by National Industries for the Blind, NIB, and associated agencies, providing meaningful employment for Americans who are blind or have significant disabilities. When you choose Skillcraft, you're not just buying a pen, you're supporting American jobs in a vital mission. Skillcraft, quality you can trust, and a purpose you can believe in. Indeed, the right tool in the right hand can make all the difference. Charleston, South Carolina, my Gethsemane. We've talked about the industry, this vast sprawling beast, the democracy of the kitchen, the grind, the fleeting moments of grace, and the pervasive shadows of vice. But these aren't abstract concepts, not for me. They're visceral memories tied to specific places, specific smells, specific faces, and nowhere are they more sharply etched than in Charleston, South Carolina, my Gethsemane. Charleston, a city that wears its history like a shroud woven from Spanish moss. Walk down the cobblestone streets of South of Broad, past the ironwork balconies dripping with jasmine, past the pastel-colored houses standing sentinel against the humid air. You can almost hear the ghosts whispering tales of pirates, planters, and the gullah rhythms that beat in the city's soul. It's beautiful, undeniably, postcard perfect, some might say. The salty tang of the harbor air, the sweet scent of magnolias in bloom, the chime of carriage bells echoing down narrow alleys. It can lull you into a false sense of genteel calm. But step off those picturesque streets, through the back door of any one of the hundreds, if not thousands, it felt, of restaurants crammed into that small peninsula, and the illusion shatters. The charm gives way to chaos. The beauty is a facade for the relentless, sweaty, high-stakes reality of feeding a constant stream of hungry people. Those 4 years I spent there, they weren't just a chapter, they were the entire damn book that came before the one I'm writing now. They were the crucible, the intense heat, the constant pressure, the raw materials of human ambition and desperation, thrown together and hammered into something new, something real, endless material for my first serious novel, Gethsemane. I worked in a few different places, a high-volume seafood joint right on the water, where the oysters came in by the bushel, and the tourists demanded shrimp and grits like it was the only thing on the menu. The air always smelled of fried fish, low tide, and desperation during the dinner rush. Then there was a slightly more refined place downtown, trying to do modern Southern cuisine. All delicate plating and obscure ingredients, but the back-of-house drama was just as raw, just as intense. Different uniforms, same trenches. The food in Charleston itself was a character. It wasn't just sustenance, it was a history on a plate. The rich, creamy she-crab soup that tasted like the sea itself, thickened with roux and finished with a whisper of sherry. The perfectly fried green tomatoes, crisp on the outside, tangy within. The platters of fresh, briny oysters, pulled from the very waters that lapped at the docks nearby. And shrimp and grits, of course. Everyone had their vision, from the rustic, humble bowl to the elevated gourmet interpretation. It spoke of the low country, of ingredients pulled from the land and sea, of traditions passed down through generations, including the deep, often unacknowledged influence of Gullah people on the region's cooking. But preparing that food, that was the antithesis of picturesque. It was sweat stinging your eyes, grease splattering your arms, knives flashing dangerously close to fingers. It was standing on aching feet for hours on end, adrenaline and caffeine, the only things keeping you upright. The pressure was relentless. You were only as good as your last plate. One mistake, one forgotten order, one dish sent back, and the entire intricate dance could fall apart. The head chef was a constant presence, often a terrifying one. Some were artists, driven by a pure passion for food, and working day jobs in the restaurant industry to supplement their incomes for their creative endeavors. Others were tyrants, using fear and intimidation to drive their crew. Most were somewhere in between, brilliant and volatile in equal measure. They were the conductors of this chaotic symphony, demanding perfection in the face of impossible odds. And the people I worked alongside, they were the soul of the experience. A collection of misfits, outcasts, and dreamers, the kind of folk you find in the back alleys of any industry, the ones who don't fit neatly into the mainstream. There was the grizzled fry cook who'd been flipping burgers for 40 years and had seen it all, dispensing cynical wisdom between orders. The young, ambitious culinary school grad, burning bright but inevitably destined for burnout or migration to a bigger city. The quiet immigrant woman on the salad station, sending money home to a family she hadn't seen in years, her hands moving with quiet, efficient grace. The washed-up musician working as a server, trading stories of faded glory for tips. They weren't just coworkers, they were fellow travelers in the dark. We shared cigarettes out back, swapping stories of the night's horrors and absurdities. We covered for each other when someone was too hungover or too strung out to function. We celebrated small victories, surviving a Saturday night rush, or the Cooper River Bridge Run days when 30,000 people were packed onto the peninsula and hungry. We were a strange, dysfunctional family, bound by the shared experience of the grind. Every spilled drink, every burnt dish, every moment of shared exhaustion, every flash of anger or frustration, every fleeting laugh in the walk-in freezer, it all became notes, observations, building blocks. I'd stumble home at 3 a.m., smelling of fryer grease and stale beer, my feet screaming, and sit down with a cigarette and cheap notebook, probably filled with ink from a Skillcraft pen, and just write, not polishing sentences, not crafting plot points, just getting it down, the sensory details, the fragments of dialogue, the raw emotion of it all. The city as muse. Charleston itself wasn't just a backdrop, it was an active participant in this process. The weight of its history, the lingering presence of the past, the deep-seated social strata that still subtly permeate the city, they added layers to the human drama unfolding in the kitchens and dining rooms. The contrast between the wealthy diners enjoying their elegant meals in air-conditioned comfort and the sweating, straining crew in the hot, cramped kitchen below felt like a physical manifestation of societal divides. The city's charm and beauty made the grime and struggle of the back-of-house life feel even more stark, more poignant. The specific low-country culture influenced the stories too. The pace of life, slightly slower outside the kitchen rush, the unique rhythms of speech, the emphasis on hospitality, which sometimes felt performative, thin as a glaze over simmering tensions. The way history wasn't just in museums, but lived and breathed out on the streets, in the architecture, in the very air. It all seeped into the characters I was creating, into the situations they found themselves in. The lessons learned weren't just about cooking or service. There were lessons in resilience, in grit, in understanding human motivation, the desperate need for a paycheck, the burning desire for perfection, the simple human craving for connection, however fleeting. I learned how much people could endure and how quickly they could break. I learned the value of a shared burden, the strength that comes from knowing the person next to you is just as tired, just as stressed, and just as determined to get through the night. This experience, 4 years steeped in the contradictory reality of Charleston's culinary world, stripped away a lot of illusions. It showed me the stark, unvarnished truth of work, of people, of survival. It was dirty, it was exhausting, and sometimes it was soul crushing, but it was also intensely real. And that reality became the bedrock upon which Gethsemane was built. Every character, every conflict, every moment of despair, and every flicker of hope in that novel, it was forged in the heat and the pressure of those Charleston kitchens. It was pulled from the salty air, the cobblestone streets, and the sweet life, and the sweat equity, and the beautiful, brutal forge of the Low Country. Perhaps it is these contrasts in kitchen work and in life that we find a deeper truth, that the restaurant world in all its diverse forms is a microcosm of the human condition, a place where we come to celebrate, to nourish ourselves, to connect with one another, a place where dreams are both realized and crushed, where ambitions are both fueled and frustrated, a place where the simple act of preparing and sharing food can reveal profound truths about ourselves and the world around us. And for a writer, for a cigarette smoking man seeking inspiration, these diverse settings like Charleston offer an endless source of material, a chance to observe, to listen, to capture the fleeting moments of grace and the lingering shadows of vice, to tell stories that resonate with truth, with honesty, with the raw, unfiltered reality of life lived on the front lines of the culinary world. The underbelly, pressure, vice, and the search for release. We've talked about the opportunities, the camaraderie, the craft, but let's not sugarcoat it. The restaurant industry has a dark side, an underbelly that's as much a part of the experience as the perfectly plated dishes and smiling faces. It's a world of relentless pressure, where vice becomes a coping mechanism, and the search for release is a constant struggle. The pressure is immense. Think about it. Long hours, low pay, demanding customers, and the constant need to perform. The kitchen is a pressure cooker, and the heat is always on. Mistakes are costly, and the stakes are high. Careers can be broken or made in a single night. To cope with this pressure, many restaurant workers turn to vice: alcohol, drugs, gambling, anything to numb the pain and escape the grind. It's a cliche, I know, but cliches exist for a reason. The restaurant industry is notorious for its high rates of substance abuse. It's a culture that often encourages excess, where work hard, play hard is the mantra. I saw it firsthand in Charleston, the line cook who couldn't get through a shift without a few shots of whiskey, the server who popped pills to stay awake and handled the demanding customers, the bartender who was always chasing the next high. It was a vicious cycle, a downward spiral that consumed many talented and promising individuals. But it's not just about the substances themselves. It's about the underlying issues that drive people to seek solace in vice, the often unaddressed mental health toll of restaurant work. Burnout, anxiety, depression, these common conditions in an industry that demands so much and offers so little in return. The long hours and low pay leave little time or money for self-care. Health insurance is often non-existent, making it difficult to access mental health services. The intense competition and constant pressure create a breeding ground for anxiety and stress. And the work hard, play hard culture only exacerbates the problem. It encourages people to push themselves to the limit, to ignore their own needs, and to seek validation in external sources. It's a recipe for disaster. How does this manifest differently in various culinary settings? In high-pressure city kitchens, the focus is on speed and efficiency. The goal is to churn out as many dishes as possible, as quickly as possible. This can lead to a dehumanizing environment where workers are treated as cogs in a machine. In seasonal resort towns, the pressure is different but no less intense. Workers are often far from home, isolated from their support networks. The long hours and transient nature of the work can lead to feelings of loneliness and alienation. What are the systemic issues that contribute to this underbelly? Long hours, low pay, lack of benefits, intense competition. These are all factors that create a toxic environment. The restaurant industry is often structured in a way that exploits workers, demanding everything and giving little in return. I'm not offering easy solutions. There are no easy answers, but we need to start acknowledging the problem to recognize the human cost of the restaurant industry. We need to create a culture that values mental health, that supports workers, and that promotes sustainable practices. The price many pay to stay in the game, it was too high, and it's a price that continues to be paid every day in kitchens and dining rooms across the country. It is the dark side of the art, the human cost for a memorable experience. Fuel for mind and body. In the chaos, one seeks anchors, a moment of clarity, a jolt of energy. Moleskin notebooks. In a world of fleeting digital distractions, there's something timeless about putting pen to paper. For thinkers, writers, artists, dreamers, for those who seek to capture the ephemeral whisper of an idea, there's Moleskin, the iconic notebook. With its elegant design and quality paper, it is more than just a blank canvas, it's a legacy, a space where creativity has unfolded for generations. From Hemingway to Van Gogh, great minds have trusted Moleskin to hold their most important thoughts. Will you be next? Capture your thoughts before they vanish into smoke. Find your Moleskin at moleskin.com or at your favorite retailer. Black Rifle Coffee Company. Rise and grind, patriots. Are you tired of weak, woke coffee that doesn't fuel your freedom? Then it's time you discovered Black Rifle Coffee Company. Veteran owned and operated, Black Rifle is committed to serving up premium, unapologetically bold roasts for those who value hard work, dedication, and the American way of life. From their signature AK-47 espresso blend to their smooth, easy-drinking Silencer Smooth, Black Rifle Coffee provides the fuel you need to tackle any challenge. But it's more than just great coffee. Black Rifle is on a mission to support veterans, first responders, and the values that make this country great. With every purchase, you're helping to make a difference. Join the Black Rifle Coffee Club and get America's coffee delivered right to your door. Black Rifle Coffee, fuel for patriots. Visit blackriflecoffee.com and use code CSM10 for 10% off your first order. Fuel indeed, for the body and for the stories yet to be told. The economic engine, more than just meals, it's a livelihood. All right, enough with the personal war stories. Let's pull back and look at the bigger picture. Beyond the individual struggles, beyond the kitchen dramas and late-night vices, there's a fundamental truth about the restaurant industry that often gets overlooked. It's a goddamn economic engine. We're talking about a sector that provides a livelihood for millions of Americans, not just chefs and servers, but dishwashers, bussers, bartenders, managers, suppliers, farmers, truckers. The ripple effect is enormous. Think about it. The food has to come from somewhere, right? The linens need to be laundered. The equipment needs to be maintained. The building needs to be cleaned. Every restaurant supports a whole ecosystem of businesses, each employing more people, contributing to local economies. It's one of the largest employment sectors in the United States. and its impact is felt in every corner of the country, from bustling metropolises to quiet rural towns. I'm talking about real jobs, real paychecks, real opportunities for people to support themselves and their families. According to the National Restaurant Association, the industry generates hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue each year. That's money flowing into communities, creating jobs and fueling economic growth. And it's a sector that continues to grow and evolve, adapting to changing tastes and trends. Remember those demographics we talked about earlier, the immigrants, the young people, those seeking a second chance. The restaurant industry remains a crucial on-ramp for them. It provides that first job, that first taste of financial independence, that first opportunity to prove themselves. It's a place where a strong work ethic and a willingness to learn can take you a long way, regardless of your background or education. For many immigrants, it's a lifeline, a way to get their foot in the door, learn the language, and build a new life in America. They bring their skills, their traditions, their flavors to the table, enriching our culinary landscape and contributing to the cultural tapestry of our nation. Let's not forget the role of restaurants in local economies. They're often the heart and soul of a community, a place where people gather to celebrate, to connect, to unwind. They attract tourists, boosting local businesses and generating revenue for municipalities. They sponsor local events, support local charities, and provide a sense of place and belonging. Think of King Street in Charleston, for example. How many families rely on those Saturday night crowds, not just the servers and bartenders, but the flower vendors, the carriage drivers, the musicians playing in the square. The entire economy of that street, that neighborhood, thrives because of the restaurants. It's a food and beverage mecca in every sense of the word. Beyond the direct employment, consider the vast supply chain. The farmers tilling the soil, the fishermen hauling in their catch, the vintners crafting their wines, the artisans creating handcrafted cheeses and charcuterie. All of them depend in some way on the success of the restaurant industry. Their livelihoods are intertwined, their fates inextricably linked. They are the silent partners, the unseen workforce that makes the restaurant experience possible. And then there's tourism. Restaurants are a magnet for travelers, a major draw for anyone seeking an authentic and memorable experience. Charleston isn't just history, it's a taste, a flavor profile that people travel for. That low country boil, that shrimp and grits, that she crab soup. It's a cultural identity served on a plate. People can visit a city, a region, specifically to sample its culinary offerings, to immerse themselves in its food culture. Restaurants become ambassadors, showcasing the best of what a place has to offer, attracting new visitors and boosting the local economy. Think of New Orleans and its Cajun cuisine, San Francisco and its seafood, New York and its diverse ethnic eateries. These culinary destinations are not just about food, they're about culture, history, and community. Moreover, restaurants play a vital role in preserving culinary heritage and fostering innovation. They serve as custodians of traditional recipes and cooking techniques, pass them down through generations. They also provide a platform for chefs to experiment, to push boundaries, and to create new and exciting culinary experiences. They are living laboratories, constantly evolving and adapting to changing tastes and trends. Even in the face of economic challenges, the restaurant industry has proven to be remarkably resilient. Restaurants adapt, innovate, and find new ways to survive. They adjust their menus, streamline their options and operations, and embrace new technologies. They are masters of adaptation, constantly reinventing themselves to meet the changing needs of their customers. Restaurants aren't just about feeding people. They're about building communities. They're about creating experiences, fostering connections, and celebrating the simple pleasure of a shared meal with friends and loved ones. And in doing so, they contribute to the overall well-being and prosperity of our society. The industry must keep moving forward with the workers in mind, but not forget about the customer either. The service economy, a double-edged sword for America. So, is this service economy good for America? That's the question, isn't it? We've explored the allure and grit of the restaurant industry, but it's a microcosm of a much larger shift. A shift from manufacturing to service, from tangible goods to intangible experiences. It's a question of jobs, opportunities, and the very fabric of our society. On the surface, the service economy seems like a boon. Jobs, lots and lots of jobs. From the armies of baristas crafting lattes to the legions of delivery drivers crisscrossing our cities, the service sector is a powerful engine of employment. It's a welcoming space for many, particularly those without specialized skills or advanced degrees. A friendly demeanor and a willingness to work hard can open doors in a way that other industries can't match. It's the smiling face at the checkout counter, the helpful voice on the phone, the attentive server at your favorite restaurant. It's convenience, accessibility, and the promise of a seamless experience. But beneath the shiny veneer lies a more troubling reality. There's always a but, isn't there? The prevalence of low wages, for one. The service economy is riddled with jobs that offer meager compensation, barely enough to make ends meet. We're talking about individuals working long fucking hours, often under demanding conditions, for wages that barely cover rent and groceries. Take a single mother in Charleston, for instance, waitressing 2 jobs to support her children. Despite her tireless efforts, she struggles to afford decent housing and health care. This story is not unique. It's a stark illustration of the financial precarity that plagues so many service workers. And then there's the insidious issue of tipping. This deeply ingrained practice relies on the whims of customers, creating a system ripe with inequities and biases. Servers, bartenders, and other tipped employees are forced to navigate a complex web of expectations, their income directly tied to the subjective assessments of their patrons. This creates a power dynamic that can be easily exploited, leaving workers vulnerable to discrimination and harassment. What about a living wage? The debate rages on, with proponents arguing that a guaranteed minimum wage would provide stability and dignity to service workers, while opponents fear the potential impact on prices and employment. I love Trump's idea for no tax on tips. That is just the kind of innovative thinking that can actually help real people that I know with becoming financially independent and saving more money as the cost of living shoots up even higher. The emotional toll of service work is also significant. Service with a smile comes at a cost, demanding a constant performance of positivity, even in the face of rude or demanding customers. This emotional labor can be particularly draining in high-pressure environments, like upscale restaurants and tourist-heavy destinations. What are the societal implications of this shift towards a service-based economy? Are we creating a two-tiered system where a privileged few enjoy the fruits of innovation while a vast underclass struggles to make ends meet? What does it mean for our national character, our sense of shared purpose, when so many are relegated to serving the needs and desires of others? Are we losing something vital in the transition away from manufacturing, from the tangible creation of goods to the intangible provision of services? It's a question worth pondering, especially when considering the challenges faced by service workers trying to afford life in the very scenic and often expensive culinary destinations they help make attractive. Charleston, for all its beauty and charm, is a city where the cost of living continues to rise, pushing many service workers to the brink. There are no easy answers, no simple solutions. The service economy is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon, with both benefits and drawbacks. But it's a conversation we need to have, a reckoning we need to undertake. If we want to build a society that is truly just, equitable, and sustainable, and as always, I remain skeptical of any easy answers, content to acknowledge the complexity of the issue. Building futures, shaping narratives. While we ponder the grand scale, some are busy building, busy telling new stories. Monarch Holdings International Incorporated. In today's complex world, informed decisions are paramount. Monarch Holdings International Incorporated, an innovative holding company registered in Nevada, is dedicated to fostering entrepreneurial spirit and advancing libertarian principles like individual liberty and free markets. With a diverse portfolio spanning business, market, and political consulting, publishing, music production, technology app development, apparel, and investment, we're building a better future one venture at a time. At Monarch Holdings International, we leverage cutting-edge business intelligence tools like IBM SPSS, IBM Watson AI, and Palantir to deliver data-driven insights and strategic recommendations. Our commitment to integrity, collaboration, and innovation empowers our clients to navigate the complexities of the modern marketplace with confidence. From startups to established enterprises, we provide the expertise and resources you need to thrive. Discover how Monarch Holdings International Incorporated can unlock your potential. Visit monarchholdingsinternational.com today. Monarch Literary Limited. Are you searching for stories that challenge the status quo? Voices that inspire free thought? Then look no further than Monarch Literary Limited, an independent publisher of poetry and fiction. We're dedicated to bringing exceptional literary works to readers everywhere, supporting unique voices that dare to be different. At Monarch Literary, we champion art and build community, offering a platform for free thinkers to connect and explore new perspectives. And we're committed to a better world. That's why Monarch Literary pledges 1.5% of its revenue to combat climate change, focusing on practical, data-backed methods that make a real difference. Find your tribe of free thinkers, explore art, and build community with Monarch Literary. Discover your next favorite author at monarchliterary.com. Perhaps you will even find the works of this cigarette-smoking man there one day. Enterprises born of conviction, much like the stories we tell ourselves. The Writer's Feast, transforming restaurant grit into narrative art. The restaurant, a symphony of controlled chaos, a stage upon which ambition, desperation, camaraderie, and exploitation play out in a never-ending loop. But how does one capture the cacophony and transform it into something coherent, something meaningful? How does one alchemize the raw grit of restaurant life into narrative art? For me, Gethsemane isn't just a story, it's a distillation, a process of extracting the essence of my experiences, of filtering out the noise and highlighting the essential human truths. It's about taking the sensory overload, the smells, the sounds, the textures, and translating them into words that resonate with readers. The challenge lies in capturing the visceral reality of the kitchen without resorting to mere description. It's not enough to simply list the ingredients or recount the events. You must convey the feeling of being there, the heat radiating from the stove, the weight of the knife in your hand, the adrenaline pumping through your veins as you race against the clock. You must make the reader feel like they are standing right there beside you in the heart of chaos. But there's also an ethical dimension to consider. These stories aren't just mine. They involve real people, real lives. Even when fictionalized, there's a responsibility to treat those experiences with respect and sensitivity. How do you tell the truth without causing harm? How do you expose the underbelly of the industry without exploiting the pain and suffering of those who have lived it? I grapple with these questions constantly. There are characters in Gethsemane who are composites of several individuals I've known, their stories woven together to create a more universal truth. There are scenes that are based on real events, but altered and embellished to enhance the narrative. It's a delicate dance, a constant negotiation between reality and fiction. Perhaps the most important aspect of this transformation is finding the underlying themes. What is a story really about? Is it about ambition, desperation, survival, community? For me, Gethsemane is about all of these things. It's about the human condition, laid bare in the crucible of the restaurant kitchen, a pressure cooker with no lid, where things can bubble over unexpectedly. So I think about what I need to show and reveal as clearly as possible. Much like a chef meticulously crafting a dish, I approach the writing process with a similar level of attention to detail. Every word must be carefully chosen. Every sentence must be perfectly balanced. The structure must be solid, yet flexible enough to allow for improvisation. And of course, a healthy dose of cigarettes and black coffee to fuel the creative fire. The restaurant, like any intense environment, offers endless fodder for storytelling. The challenge is not in finding the stories, but shaping them, refining them, and ultimately transforming them into art. The art has to be worth the strife and the struggle. Outro, last drags, lingering flavors in the road ahead. So there you have it. Another evening's musings, drifting off on the smoke. We've chewed over the multifaceted beast that is the restaurant industry. Its grit, its glory, its contradictions. A democratic proving ground, a pressure cooker of vice, an economic engine, and perhaps a mirror reflecting America's own complex soul. For me, it was all of these things and something more. It was the forge where Gethsemane was hammered into being, the source material, the inspiration, the endless parade of characters who now populate its pages. The words are settling, finding their final form soon. Keep an eye out for it. Thank you for joining me on this journey, for indulging my digressions, my world-weary observations, my cynical optimism. If you're curious about my other scribblings, my musical meanderings, or the process and progress of Gethsemane, or even if you want to learn about Monarch Literary and Monarch Holdings International, you can find me at stephenleake.com. Stephen with a V, Leake.com. But what of the future? As culinary cities evolve, influenced by trends and technology, will the essence of the restaurant experience endure? Will the human connection survive amidst the rise of automation and delivery services? I recall a late night in Charleston, the kitchen quiet after the storm of dinner service, sharing a beer with a dishwasher, a young man from Honduras who dreamed of opening his own food truck. That ambition, that drive, it's the lifeblood of the industry. But will the industry continue to offer that path, that opportunity to those who come after us? Perhaps the answer lies in embracing the contradictions, acknowledging the darkness along the light. The restaurant world will always be a demanding, unpredictable, and often unforgiving place, but it will also continue to be a place of creativity, community, and connection, a place where, for a few fleeting hours, we can come together to share a meal and a laugh, for a moment of respite from the chaos of the world. Remember this, the menu changes, but the hunger remains. I'm the cigarette smoking man. Thanks for being here with me tonight. We're going to win.